Hi folks, welcome back. Uncle Beard again. Today, with a lot of help from my wife, because she's brilliant at sewing, and I'm terrible. We're going to be installing the stove jack panel and this silicon stove jack into a 4-meter canvas bell tent. So keep watching, and we'll try and talk you through it. Cheers, guys. Okay, so I was searching about on the internet to research fitting a stove jack to the canvas tent, and I came across a great video by Mike from MCQ Bushcraft. And what he did, he cut a leather gasket first for the silicon and metal stove jack, just to protect the canvas and give it a bit more longevity. I really like that idea. So I've cut from a piece of tooling leather, I've cut a gasket, a leather gasket, punched all the holes, etc. I've just given it a couple of coats of proofing, and it's just out on line to dry now for 5 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this into the stove flap before we actually install it in the tent, just to make life a little bit easier. But what I will do, I'll put a link to Mike's tutorial on how to make these in the comments section. Right, so we've kind of marked it with Sharpie where it's going to go. Hopefully we'll be able to see the Sharpie from the outside and then lay the stove jack over and see where. Now, from research I've done online, 18 inches from the canvas wall is what it needs to be. That still gives you plenty of room inside the tent, and hopefully it'll help the heat be a little bit more central. Just going to go check on the outside, see what we can see. Right, so we couldn't see the Sharpie, so what we did, we stuck some pins in it and transferred the marks onto the outside, and then did it again on the outside of the tent. So that's going to give us a position. It's roughly central with the seams, but all this is, I mean, this circle that we've drawn is just a reference point. That'll all get covered up by the replacement stove jack. So we're going to offer the stove jack up now and get it pinned in position and start the massively long task of hand stitching it all in. Right, so we've just positioned the stove jack on the outside of the tent, roughly marking it up parallel from the bottom seam there. We just kind of put it on by eye, because when we put it on level it didn't look right, it looked too far to cock. So we've just positioned it by eye to what we both think's a nice position, roughly central in that panel. And you can just see, if I get a bit closer, you can just see we've just had to move it slightly to the right of us marker, but that's not going to matter because that's all coming out once we've stitched down these marks. We're going to cut that from the inside and then reinforce this piece. Okay, so we're going to start stitching now once it's pinned on. Oh, also Beth run a hem, because when these stove jacks come, it's just a raw edge of fabric. So Beth just run a quick hem around that to reinforce it, make it a little bit stronger. Okay, we're nearly down, well, just over halfway down the first run. Beth's on the outside, I'm on the inside, and we're using a sail stitch just for strength, and we're using Gutman's top stitch polyester thread, so it's going to be as rot resistant. The actual tent's probably made out of the same stuff. So okay, well, we're going to carry on now. Right, Beth's just finishing off the threads between the layers of fabric now. That was a really long job, to be honest. If you're going to do this yourself, set yourself plenty of time. That's probably, those 4 sides probably just took us 2 hours. And it's definitely a 2-person job. and because you need somebody to keep tension on fabric and keep tension on lines. But yeah, it's definitely a two-person job, and you need to set yourself plenty of time. Well, that's 4 sides stitched on. Now is the scary bit. Now we start cutting holes in his tent. So hold on a minute. Okay, that was pretty scary. Hello. See, we've got us. You can just see the leather gasket that we did there on the other side. Now we've got a dirty great hole in the tent that we've got to try and sort out. I'm going to come back a bit further just to get rid of this line. But now I've got that. Now I've got that line where I know my gasket is. We can bring it out a bit further. Okay. Right. So we've cut that back away from the hole a little bit and cut these pleats in. So we're going to fold this back to hem the edge of the existing tent, and then we're going to sew everything together. Right, well, that's all stitched in, tidied up on the inside. Not bad for an hand stitching job, but then again I did have a lot of help from somebody who's pretty skilled with a needle and thread. So we just need to attach the stove jack to this now and mount the stove up. Well, that was a long job, but we're finally in, all bolted up. One thing I will do, I'm going to change those nuts for butterfly nuts. It's something that Mike from MCQ suggested when he was putting it together, and I've got to agree with him, because there'll be a pig. So obviously I've not got anything burning in there because it's about 30 degrees outside. So I don't want to melt my face. But looking forward to using it as the nights get a bit colder. We have some nice fires in there and the ability to cook inside, and yeah, should be good. That's the stove jack on the outside, nice and tidy, nice and strong. We've probably got about 5 foot of pipe there, plenty, more than enough. Spark arrestor at the top, obviously. This stove is it's got a double burn, so it's got a gasifier inside it anyway, so you don't get very much smoke or sparks, because it reburns everything. But you do have to burn decent wood. You can't just burn any old crap, otherwise it will smoke like hell. Okay guys, that's all for now. It's been a long one, but very worthwhile. Wouldn't have been able to do it without Beth, to be honest, because it's just a very difficult job for 2 people, and I don't think I'd want to tackle it again soon. Okay guys, that's all for now. Over and out.